what do you think that we can do to help to remedy this situation for these people that are going to be, come Saturday, they're not going to be getting their check.
Right. Well, the most immediate thing we can do is to contribute to the local food banks. The other thing is that those of us that have the good grace and have extra space in our homes can see about maybe taking in family members or friends that are disabled that we might not have taken in otherwise. Look about you and see what you can do, because I will guarantee you that there will be situations where you can actually weigh in and make a difference. And just keep your discernment, your awareness of what's going on, and do keep your Shinola sensors on high, because there's always a whole bunch of organizations that show up and they start asking for money. And they pretend to be some sort of a big philanthropic effort. And they're not. They're just not delivering to the people. There are a few exceptions. There are a few good organizations that really do get down in the trenches and deliver. And you can find out who they are by going on the internet and researching nonprofit organizations that actually deliver. This is one of the things that I caution people. Yes, give by all means. Give directly if possible. If you are right there standing there looking at someone like this woman, find ways of helping her. Think about what sorts of resources the community already has. Think about resources that your assemblies might be able to put together. Look at your own situation and see what you may have to share. But if you're looking for organizations that are delivering systemic help, look at churches with good reputations for community service. Look for local food banks. Look for those organizations maybe on a national level that have maintained a good reputation over the years for how much actually gets delivered to people instead of being eaten up in administration costs. I know that Paralyzed Veterans of America, for example, has a very good reputation for helping paralyzed vets. If those veterans are losing their disability benefits, they will be in the front lines doing everything they can to help. I have a special soft spot for women and children who are displaced for whatever reason. And, speaking from a standpoint of being a woman and having had children and, raising a family, there are times when you feel very vulnerable, because if anything happens to you, if you get sick, if you lose your job, if you miss payments or whatever, that your kids are going to be hurt. And you're all going to wind up in that shelter situation if you can find a place at a shelter. And from what I've seen, a lot of shelters around the country are already at a overflow condition. And there are many organizations that are simply opening up their doors during the day so that people can come and sit on a chair in a warm space. Okay? So this is something we're going to have to buck up against individually and as organizations and as families and communities. That's all the bad stuff. And as Michelle has rightly brought forward, all the gold in the world won't buy you a clean cup of water. All the gold in the world won't buy you a meal. Okay, there are times when reality comes crashing in, and we have to realize that these are just representations of value, representations of labor, representations of commodities. And when that moment comes, it doesn't do you any good to have a gold coin if you can't buy food. All right. So this is a supply chain problem as well as a funding issue. Because if the supply chain goes down, then you're looking at a different bailiwick, a whole different can of worms. Suddenly you've got farmers with 50,000 tons of potatoes and pumpkins that can't get to market. So they can't deliver to you. So even if there's food, it's not available. And everybody's being messed up on both ends of the transport situation, because the farmer is sitting there unable to sell his produce, and the people who need it can't get it. So this is potentially a devastating problem. All right. Now, we're opening up our vendor system within the Global Family Bank. So everybody who has food commodities or commodities they want to sell, get signed up as a vendor. We're going to be opening the bank, and you'll be able to directly interface with other people, and you'll be able to trade gold and silver and all the other attributes that we have that stand for value, right? There are big changes going on right now. There are, for example, the SWIFT system that was used to transfer money all over the world, and which established kind of a monopoly on bank transfers, is no more, except for an analog system used by the World Bank, the Bank for International Settlements, and the IMF. All the other banks are being transferred onto the QFS or permanently closed, except for our banks, of course. And so our Global Family Bank is the only other organization that can deliver worldwide. And it's the only thing that's keeping the system from being totally monopolized. So by all means, support Global Family Bank, support what we're trying to accomplish here, and count on it that in all of the different things that I've seen, Global is the only organization that has actually delivered on what it said it was going to deliver when it said it was going to deliver. All these other banks haven't. All these other organizations haven't. All right, so I have nothing but good to say about Global. And I'm looking forward to seeing the vendors open up this week, sometime within the next 7 days. All of you who have goods and services to offer, sign up and get your vendor accounts. And realize that I think there's a big misunderstanding. People are talking about their trust accounts. There are no trust accounts that belong to you. Okay? What happened? is that it was convenient for the Brits to assume that our government was gone and dead and wasn't coming back. And so what they did is that they salvaged us, just like an Admiralty salvage operation. They came along and they picked up all these quote unquote abandoned vessels on the high seas. They waived your right to your political status as an American for you and took you under tow together with all your assets. What you are looking at are foreign public trusts. Okay, and the municipal trusts have been liquidated and rolled over into British seamen's trusts operated under Admiralty law. Okay, so now you have a British seamen's trust, an estate named after you. And these vermin are busily administering your trust, or the trust named after you, I should say, for you to benefit themselves. Okay, so we're standing here fending them off at the same time that we're bringing forward our claims and knocking them out of the arena because they're not a lawful government. Okay, they're not even a government, they're just a corporation. All right, so here's the argument. They have all these public trusts named after you, but actually there are no public trusts affiliated with you. You're an American, and the only trust that can exist is the trust, the American Infant Descendant Estate, that you are owed. And that is owed back to you and held harmless, okay? They have to return that to you unharmed. And that's what you've got coming to you. Plus whatever damages that I can inflict. And believe me, after all the things that they've done and all that they've stolen, this is a topic that deserves a lot of negotiation. So anyway, this idea that you've got a public trust, or rather that you have a trust, a private trust, no. What we're dealing with right now are two foreign, intestate public trusts that they're pillaging, plundering, and gutting to the best of their ability. And what we're trying to prevent is exactly that. We're trying to roll your American Infant Descendant Trust forward and capture all of that ill-gotten gain back to the American people. Okay, so a lot of this is going on. It's being fought out every day, and some huge pieces of that puzzle are fitting together. So there is a tremendous amount of wealth that you have. There's a humongous amount of prepaid credit that's owed to you. And so all of these things, ironically enough, are on one side, you're richer than Midas. On the other hand, you're poor, because this whole situation has gotten totally out of hand, and the books haven't been kept up. The books have not been balanced for generations. And some people who are inclined to be bean counters and nitpickers want to have this exact down to the penny. Let me tell you, that isn't even beginning to be possible. What we're going to have to deal with are best guesstimates and go with it and refine it as we go, because Otherwise, we could be sitting here for another 100 years just trying to sort out the details of exactly how messed up this has become. And meantime, people will be dying, animals will be dying, and things that we cannot replace that are worth more than money will be in jeopardy. So we're making our choices based on support of life and support of the present moment. We're not going to worry about the past. We're not going to try to second guess the future. We're going to focus on right now and taking care of people right now and, dealing with the problems that we have in the present moment. And once we get a good handle on where we're at, then we can think about restitution for the past. We can think about, what kind of choices we're going to make for the future. But, reporting back to you from the front lines, there's a tremendous amount of money available. The next question is, how are we going to translate that into the things that we need to move food and transport food to where it needs to go? How are we going to make sure that everybody gets through this? And so that's where we're at. We're at that cusp between, okay, we located funding sources. Okay, we have a means of distribution through the Global Family Bank. And now, what are we going to do in terms of improving the security of the transfer chain? And how are we going to make it possible for farmers to get their goods directly to people? Okay. So, those of you who have ideas about that, those of you who have farm connections and farm produce connections, this is, we can use our vendor network to make that happen so that people can be fed.